Good morning, and welcome back to Morning Drive Quotes. Today, we take inspiration from Brené Brown's Daring Greatly, a book that reminds us that true strength doesn't come from building walls, but from daring to live openly, honestly, and wholeheartedly. This morning, as you drive, let these reflections travel with you. They are not about adding more pressure, but about giving you the freedom to start your day lighter, braver, and more connected to yourself. Let's begin with the first reminder. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's our most accurate measure of courage. For so long, we've been taught to see vulnerability as a flaw, to admit fear, to share doubt, to express need. These are often labeled as signs of weakness. But Brené Brown flips that narrative. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's the truest measure of strength. Think about it. It takes no courage to put on a mask, to hide behind a role, to pretend you're fine when you're not. But it takes enormous courage to say, I'm struggling. To admit, I don't know. To look someone in the eye and say, I need help. That's bravery. Not because it guarantees victory, but because it risks rejection. It risks judgment. And yet, without taking that risk, there is no real connection, no real growth. Every meaningful relationship, whether with friends, family, or colleagues, has been built on moments of vulnerability. Moments where someone dared to be seen, dared to be real. Without those moments, connection remains shallow. So as you move into your day, remember this. Courage is not about being invincible. It's about being visible. It's not about never falling. It's about daring to stand in your truth, even when it feels shaky. And maybe today, courage is simply allowing yourself to be human. To say, I don't have all the answers. To smile and admit I was wrong. To ask, can you help me? These are not small acts. They are acts of great daring. And each time you choose them, you show the world and yourself that your strength lies not in perfection, but in presence. And that brings us to the second reminder. If vulnerability is courage, then how do we practice it? Brené Brown puts it clearly. Courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. Brené Brown reminds us, courage starts with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. It sounds simple, but it might be one of the hardest things we ever do. So often, we hold back. We hide our true selves behind the safe mask of perfection, smiling when we're tired, nodding when we disagree, pretending we're fine when deep down we're not. Why? Because being seen is risky. What if they judge me? What if they laugh? What if I'm not enough? But here's the truth. Courage doesn't begin with grand achievements. It begins with something small and ordinary showing up. Think of a student raising their hand to answer, even when unsure. A parent admitting to their child, I made a mistake. A worker sharing an idea in a meeting, knowing it might be rejected. These are not dramatic acts of heroism, but they are acts of courage. Why? Because they require us to step into the light without knowing the outcome. Showing up means choosing presence over perfection. It means saying, here I am, flaws and all. And every time we do, we give permission for others to do the same. Imagine this morning. Maybe you'll walk into your workplace, your classroom, or even just a conversation with a friend. The temptation will be to hide behind small talk, safe answers, or silence. But what if, instead, you dared to be seen? What if you spoke the idea, admitted the truth, or shared the dream you usually keep hidden? It might feel uncomfortable, but it's in that discomfort that life actually happens. Relationships deepen, opportunities open, growth begins. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real you. The you who shows up, even when it's scary. The you who lets yourself be seen, even when it feels vulnerable. So today, as you step into your own spaces, remember, Courage doesn't wait for the moment you feel ready. Courage creates the moment. All it asks of you is this: show up. And when you show up, you realize something powerful. Being vulnerable feels raw, but it is never weakness. Brené Brown captures this beautifully. Vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. There is a quiet power in honesty. Brené Brown writes, "Vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness." Think about the last time you spoke the truth, even when it was hard. Maybe it was telling someone you weren't okay. Maybe it was admitting a mistake. Maybe it was sharing a dream that others might not understand. In that moment, your voice might have shaken, your heart might have raced, and your hands might have felt unsteady. But that wasn't weakness, that was courage taking shape. We often confuse comfort with strength. We think that if something feels easy, it must mean we're strong. But real strength doesn't live in comfort. It lives in discomfort, those moments when we risk rejection, judgment, or failure in order to live honestly. Truth and courage rarely feel smooth. They feel messy, raw, and exposed. But they carry with them something far more valuable than comfort: freedom. Freedom from pretending. Freedom from living a life that doesn't belong to you. Freedom from carrying masks that weigh you down. Vulnerability is truth made visible. It's when your inside matches your outside. It's when you stop performing and start living. And yes, sometimes telling the truth will sting. Sometimes being courageous will unsettle people. But that is not weakness. Weakness is hiding behind lies. Weakness is abandoning yourself for the sake of comfort. So as you continue your morning, remember this: the unease you feel when you're honest is not a sign to run away. It's a sign you're alive, growing, and daring greatly. Today, truth may not feel comfortable, courage may not feel easy, but together, they will never make you weak. They will always, in the end, set you free. And once we begin to see vulnerability as truth and courage, something shifts. We realize that our actions don't just affect us, they ripple outward. As Brené Brown reminds us, courage is contagious. Every time we choose courage, we make everyone around us a little braver. Brené Brown writes, "Courage is contagious. Every time we choose courage, we make everyone around us a little braver." This is one of the most hopeful truths about human connection. Our choices don't just shape us, they inspire others. Think about the times you've seen someone speak up when everyone else stayed silent. Maybe in a meeting, maybe in a classroom, maybe in a family conversation. Their courage to raise a hand, share a thought, or admit a truth gave permission for others to do the same. Suddenly, the room shifted. Suddenly, more voices joined in. That's the ripple effect of courage. Courage spreads, just like fear spreads. When one person dares to be real, it creates space for others to step forward. It's as if our bravery lights a small flame, and that flame sparks another, and another. Before long, the room that once felt dark becomes a little brighter. And here's the practical part. This doesn't require dramatic acts. You don't need to give a speech or lead a revolution. Courage can look like saying, "I don't understand," when others stay quiet. It can look like admitting, "I need help," instead of pretending you've got it all together. It can look like telling someone, "I believe in you," when they doubt themselves. Each of these choices seems small, but their impact is anything but small. They change the atmosphere. They shift the culture. They remind people that bravery is possible, even in ordinary moments. So as you start your morning, remember, the courage you choose today may not only change your path, it may give someone else the strength to change theirs. You never know who is watching, listening, or quietly waiting for permission to step into their own truth. Your courage is not just yours. It's a gift that multiplies. And the more you use it, the more you help build a world where others dare greatly too. And this leads us to the final reminder of today's journey. At the heart of courage and vulnerability lies something deeply personal: self-acceptance. Brené Brown captures it beautifully. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we will ever do. Brené Brown leaves us with one of her most powerful truths. Owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we will ever do. It's easy to love yourself when everything looks perfect, when you succeed, when you're admired, when life seems in order. But true courage is different. It's looking at your story, even the messy parts, even the chapters filled with pain or regret, and saying, "This too is me, and I choose to love myself anyway." Many of us spend years running from our own stories. We try to rewrite them, hide them, or pretend they never happened. But running only keeps us trapped. Healing begins when we stop running and turn to face ourselves. Owning your story doesn't mean you approve of every page. It means you accept that every page is part of who you are. And through that acceptance, you discover strength. Because the truth is, self-love isn't soft, it's fierce. It's the courage to stop waiting for others to validate you and to begin validating yourself. Think of how freeing it feels when you meet someone who is unapologetically themselves. Their scars, their failures, their quirks, they don't hide them. They embrace them. And in doing so, they radiate a kind of beauty that perfection never could. That's what happens when we own our story. We turn even our brokenness into light. This morning, as you carry these reflections with you, ask yourself, am I willing to own my story? Am I willing to love myself not in spite of my past, but with my past? Because that act of bravery changes everything. It frees you to live fully, and it invites others to do the same. So let's gather today's 5 reminders from Brené Brown's Daring Greatly. 1. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage. 2. Courage begins with showing up and letting ourselves be seen. 3. Vulnerability may not feel comfortable, but it's never weakness. 4. Courage is contagious. Your bravery inspires others. 5. The bravest act of all is to own your story and love yourself through it. These are not just ideas to think about. They are choices to practice each day. Choices that turn ordinary mornings into opportunities for extraordinary living. If these reflections gave you strength today, take one small action. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder to live with courage. And as we close, we look ahead. In the next episode of Morning Drive Quotes, we'll draw wisdom from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, a timeless exploration of resilience, hope, and finding purpose even in life's darkest moments. Because courage is not just about daring, it's about discovering meaning. And that's where our journey continues.